WCT USA saw a major shock this year with the tournament favourites going out in the very first round.
Now based in New York, and he's looking to track down Nate Weston. He shuffles under the mountain and back under there, and that's a point for Antidote. Down we go, cross court, up towards the ridge, and he's tagged on the backs. Looking to chase down the beast from the east, and does exactly that. And the smack on the platform tells you that Tempest are defeated.
Tempest are a pro parkour team.
But despite their impressive lineup, we want to know why they lost so badly.
Right, so before we get down to who Tempest are, can you imagine being tournament favourites and going out in the very first round, Greg Ball?
I have no idea. I wouldn't know the feeling. As far as I know, you never go out in the first round.
He knows that attack any point in the 20 seconds is enough. Dives through, doesn't make it. He does make it, and that is it. Guerrero gang, the back-to-back champions, out in the quarterfinals. Huge shot, Connor.
Okay, we'll move on from that. Right, this lineup is is stellar.
Tempest itself is an academy. Like, it's one of the biggest parkour academies in the world, and the team is made up of some incredible people. Personal favourite is Eric. Eric is like an OG in parkour. Like, parkour, not just World Chase. He's been in the sport for like 20 years. Some of the earliest clips you'll ever see of parkour was probably Eric.
Yeah. And then you've also got people like Nate Weston on the side. Nate Weston is probably the most technical athlete in the world. He's always winning skill competitions. He's got Skull Chatter, which is just out now. Please go and watch it to see the kind of caliber athlete. And then you've also got competitors like Tavon. So Tavon made his debut at World Chase Tag 3, absolutely dominated the competition. Then went on to compete
got poached onto Ultimate Tag.
Ultimate Tag.
You want to go against the flow? Not a chance. The flow.
And apparently he's head and shoulders above the rest on Ultimate Tag.
Yeah, and they would list him as being like the best. Like, Tavon was the best, and everyone was saying in the profiles as well, like, oh yeah, we got Tavon on our team.
Yeah, unfortunately, like, if you see in the team profiles, a lot of the time they're all saying like, yeah, we got Tavon. He's been such a big help. He's telling us how to use the obstacles, how to use this.
Tavon is a superstar to have on the squad. He's a man with a plan. He's the type of guy who says, all right, this section of the course, this is how we should get through it.
We were expecting a lot from Tavon.
And we had, so they're like the big names, but then we've even got like Jeff, we got Brett and Nico who were like coaches.
But interestingly, with the coaches, Nico and Brett, again in the team profiles with their interviews, they actually said that because they're coaches and they're not in the main Tempest team, they felt loads of pressure to actually keep up with them.
You would.
Yeah, I do actually. Tempest has always had, like, as you said, a history of like big teams and like vibrant athletes, and then each time the team changes, the athletes get better and better. And so for me, because I'm mainly coaching at the gyms, I feel like the pressure to keep up, but also the excitement that I have like really strong athletes with me.
I can't imagine going into that with that kind of pressure. Like, everyone would assume that they're going to do amazing.
Pressure's one way, but you look at it the other way, that's confidence, man. They should be strolling in there going, I've got this.
And this is why the whole Tavon thing really threw me off guard anyways. Especially coming from his World Chase Tag 3 performance, when he was literally probably the best in the competition at the time, to his first round where he didn't really do well, did he?
Well, you say that. Let's show you how they did do.
Nicodemus Zicari, and under the mountain, and makes the tag very simply. Or John, looking to get a point on the board. Oh, well, a slip, and it looks like it could have been fatal. Jeremy Garrido, Antidote's leader, if you will, but he tracks down Tavon.
Well, interestingly enough, so they're in Group B, which is I personally wouldn't say this is the hardest group.
They weren't the strongest group. No. They didn't even. It wasn't like they were against GNF or like they were against the really good teams.
Yeah, like Hollywood or anything like that.
So what happened? What was the outcome? They won any games?
No, not a single one. But the problem is, only 2 of them got an evasion, like 1 evasion each.
And one of them wasn't Tavon, was it?
No, so it was Jeff and Nate, which I actually didn't think Nate was going to do that. And Nate even said himself he was going to play a defensive player and not an aggressive, gonna get the points because they have Tavon.
My goal is just to tag. Honestly, my game plan is just defense and just make sure the other team does not get a point. Because we have Tavon and Eric who are heavy hitters and they will almost definitely, in my opinion, get an evade. So I just want to play defense for the team and hopefully that will give us the win.
I'm starting to feel like this Ultimate Tag stuff's made Tavon a little bit soft.
They won no matches and then they went out in the first group stage.
Tavon, like, in terms of, didn't get an evasion, but I mean, he was spiked 3 times. I mean, it was like he was playing, carrying an anchor.
And fell off the mountain.
And he fell
off the mountain.
So, but like, okay, why do you think that happened then? So Tavon, with all the accolade and all the sort of, feel that he had behind him, why did that happen?
Well, I mean, not everybody can hit a peak of performance every single time, can they? We know that.
That's true.
Maybe not Tavon, but why did the others not step up? If Tavon wasn't on that day.
Well, this is the interesting question, isn't it? I mean, there is no doubting the pedigree from someone like Nate Weston. But just because you might be an incredible parkour athlete, it doesn't necessarily translate to the quad. Does it? I mean, look, you know this, Greg.
100%. Like
Sneak this.
one day I'm gonna 1v1 you on the court, and then we'll talk.
It's a fair point though. We've noticed actually that we haven't seen always the people with the biggest names who are amazing at parkour always translate to being good at World Chase Tag.
Definitely. Like, look at Moreira Gang and look at you, Jen. Like, we don't have the best athletes in the world by any means, but we've got the best chase tag athletes in the world. If you look at some of the earlier competitions, you've had Storer, you've had people like Joseph Henderson in there too.
I mean, Storer's like a prime example. They are the biggest parkour team ever.
They didn't do very well. They all got knocked out in the first match. They didn't really bother actually trying.
Yeah. And that's not to say they're not good at parkour, because they're incredible at parkour, but they're not great at World Chase Tag.
And Motus Project were kind of the same. They came in, big team. They did better. They probably did the best out of any of the big names, but they still got knocked out really easily.
I think if we separate this, because I want to talk about, I want to leave Tavon on the side for a little bit. We'll talk about the rest of the athletes. So Nate's really skilled in skilled competitions. So he's used to that pressure. He's used to the competitive mindset. I'm sure people like Eric and the coaches have done speed type competitions before, but in parkour speed competitions, it's a predetermined route.
Yeah, like
it's
where
all
you're
premeditated.
Going. Yeah,
whereas chase tag's so spontaneous. If you planning routes too far in ahead, that's when you're going to get caught.
And that's what parkour. So when we wonder like why is it that these people that are incredible at parkour aren't always good at World Chase Tag, it's because parkour isn't trained like that. You don't train coming up, and there's a skill in learning to make decisions quickly.
Like, you never would have thought in all your training, like, oh, hey, I'm actually gonna be running away from someone with this, like they do in the movies. But now it's a sport.
It is genuinely a different discipline. That's what it is. There may be some constituent parts, like if you can jump, if you can be really precise, if you are quick, if you can do all that stuff, you're undoubtedly going to have better tools to take onto the quad.
But that's just it. It's tools.
It is. You've got to use those tools in the right way.
Yeah, but interestingly, I actually think it's quite cool because there is quite a lot of other parkour competitions that do showcase those athletes that would usually do well.
Yeah.
But for the people that can't compete in those, who aren't that sort of athlete, they can actually make a household name of themselves through chasing.
Yeah, I just find it funny though. It's like, it is so different because the names that are big in World Chase Tag are not names that are always big just in social media. Then they might not be the people who have like 100,000 followers, but they get bigger names in Chase Tag. Whereas those people that have 100,000 followers, they might then go on to win like NAPC or like a parkour specific competition. Those same names, the famous names, tend to do well in the more normal competitions, but in World Chase Tag, a lot of the best people are unknown names.
Interesting enough, we were just talking about Tavon and the amount of pressure they put on him and Eric. They actually used him in pretty much every single match point they ever had in competition. Yeah, Tavon and Eric, which they actually said in their team profiles that's who they're relying on. So they really did put him there to be like, you're the reliable one.
That pressure, man. We've talked about it before, but when you've got that amount of pressure, unless you handle it well, like that can crumble you.
Well, look, in the video that we seem to bring up every time where Moreira Gang go, this is how we always win. We always win. And then released it before they lost for the first time.
I just want to say it was Kieren's idea.
But you
got some views.
Yeah, a lot of views. And every single view made it more funny. But with that, you talked about, look, the reason we win is because we look at it forensically. We look at the quad. We look at how to use it. We use tactics, and we've broken this down. You can't just waltz onto the quad and expect to be good at this, even if you have the tools. Do you think that other people are catching up? We know that Tempest hadn't caught up because they weren't using the tactics, but other people have, and it's getting to be a bit more difficult, isn't it?
Yeah, 100%. Like, you look at, so the French teams are a good example. GNF are a perfect example in there too. These guys have had time on the court. They've had time to study the court, and the level of athlete is just slowly increasing.
And it's like there's like this sense that's being developed to be good at chase tag, and it's like it's really fascinating watching it happen. And like more people are becoming specialized in this style, right? So I think the interesting thing is that I say it sort of tentatively, but having a name like Tempest or having a name like Storer might actually be a negative for teams. Like it's the pressure, right? Like, Tavon has gone into this with all this pressure, and all these other people who don't have World Chase experience, just by having the name Tempest, have gone in with now 10 times more pressure than any of the other teams.
Here's one for you. Right, we know, we talked about parkour athletes and great parkour athletes having a certain set of skills, but it's not exclusively parkour athletes we're seeing coming into playing chase tag now. We're seeing people from martial arts background. The brothers who made it, they're in martial arts background. Yeah. But we're seeing a lot of the Americans come in, like, with CrossFit backgrounds and other sports they've been playing.
Hey, when we started off, we had a guy called Thibaut, and he was a tennis player and does windsurfing and basic parkour knowledge, but he was so good.
You can do as many roly-polies as you like, but when it comes to on the court, it's all about speed, agility, and awareness.
Well, what's the best? Where should we be looking for some of the best? Or are they all bringing different things to the table?
I think it is a case of, they're bringing different things to the table. Obviously, having good parkour is always going to help. If your touch, your foot placement is on point, that's always going to help. But conversely, having great, like, say you were good in martial arts, read someone's body and you could understand, right, he's gone this way, he's going that way. Those sort of things are going to add. And then stamina. Like, having stamina, like we saw with Carl Soderman, like, having that background is going to help you even further.
Definitely. And I think it's like they are applying... Each of these people that we talked about are applying their skills to World Chase. And it's something that Tempest could do. Individually, their athletes are so phenomenal that if they started to apply that theory, that like the tactic will see.
So what you're saying is actually Tempest might have underperformed massively, but if you took those same guys, give them then a little bit more planning, they really could be the force that they were supposed to be when they turned up at WCT
and
USA.
Not only that, but their mentality and their attitude is so humbling and so good. They went from being knocked out pretty much in the first round. Bear in mind, this is a 2-day competition. They turned up the next day first. They were there supporting everyone else. Such positivity, such teamwork.
It goes a long way, that sort of thing.
It does. And especially...
it seems like, and they're all super eager for the next competition. None of them were like, oh, we lost.
There was no arrogance in it. And you got to think, if you're like such a high caliber of athlete, like we're painting them out to be, you can imagine that it's so easy that if you get knocked down the first round, this isn't for me. I don't care.
Yeah.
But they weren't like that.
I mean, Story didn't come back. We got Toby come back, but Story as a team didn't come back.
They have respect for the sport. And I think if they apply that respect,
I think we cannot, like, despite this bad performance, you cannot write them off. And I'm pretty certain, maybe not that exact lineup, but I'm pretty certain that Tempest are going to be able to put a team forward at some point that are going to be a challenge.
But Tavon, you got to sort yourself out.
That is something I would like to say, is I don't think they put forward their best athletes. When you think about, they have 3 gyms in the US and they must have so many athletes coming in and out of there. They should be able to pick all sorts of people.
Not just big names.
They didn't pick the best people for it, I don't think. And it'd be very interesting to see what changes they make next year, because they want to do it again and see how they change the team,
even
what strategies.
That's so cool to like be kicked out first round and be so keen to come back next year. Obviously, we're in the best sport in the world over here, you know?
Look, the Tempest story isn't over. And besides, they may have got knocked out first round, but then didn't have to present the trophies to the new winners, did they?
Dan. When you have a couple of these at home, we'll talk.
So look, they may have got schooled this time, but I don't think the Tempest story is over. Do you think they're going to come back and show what they're really about? Let us know in the comments section below. Like, subscribe, and remember, we've got new World Chase Tag videos every Tuesday and Friday. Remember, keep chasing, don't get caught.